Good morning to all my friends and family, and welcome to this morning episode of Jim's 5am Club. I welcome you to my YouTube channel, Jim's 5am Club, and what we're going to do today, like we normally do, is we're going to go through a book summary and try and identify 2 or 3 key points that we can take away and try and incorporate into our day and into our lives. It's Friday morning, the day before the long weekend. I'm up here on the International Passenger Terminal, and as you can see, it's all blocked off and guarded. These are the projection cameras here, which project onto the magnificent Opera House, one of the greatest monuments in the world, one of the greatest modern monuments. But there was a time where people were aghast at how ugly the Opera House was. But it just goes to show that with time, not only do we get used to things, but we fall in love with things as well. So today's book summary is going to be a journey, a wonderful journey where you're going to join me if you wish. And we're going to talk about a book entitled Inner Engineering. Inner Engineering, by an author who has a single name, and his name is Sadhguru. So we're going to go on a bit of a tangent today. I don't normally go through these sorts of books, but this one here is just going to once again help us understand that I think all people, regardless of race, religion and age, we're all searching for the one thing. We're searching for truth, we're searching for contentment, and we're just looking for ways, for clues in terms of how to live a better life and a more peaceful life. So this book here is basically a yogi's guide to joy. And for a lot of us who don't really understand yoga and yogis and the Eastern or the Indian style of meditation and sciences, the author here tells us that yoga is a science of optimizing energy, a science of optimizing your energy, making the most of your energy. So we'll take it from here and see, once again, we'll trace it, we'll try and link the dots and hopefully end up understanding yoga and yogis and a lot of these mystical sort of cultures in a better way. So the theory behind yoga, according to this author, is that you can be the architect for your own joy and for your own health. And I guess science, modern science, informs us that that is in fact true. I was interested to learn for the first time that guru means a dispeller of darkness, someone who opens the door for you. And it's a science of self, a science of self-transformation, which aligns very neatly with all the other philosophies. And I know that this self-transformation, this dispeller of darkness, is a core element of my Christian faith. So what I'm saying is that the learnings from this book, the learnings from this text, have parallels, have valid parallels to the sorts of things that I read elsewhere in my Christian texts in the scriptures, and to understand that it's not diametrically opposed, but in many ways infused and parallel, and it can work in conjunction with. I'm not saying to drop our Christian beliefs and our Christian faith in order to follow yoga and yogis, but I'm just trying to put it into perspective that it is just yet another way of living that has common elements with Christianity in many ways. And in many ways it's different as well. So let's not fool ourselves. Let's not get carried away. I need to call that out early as well. So the author goes on to say that finding your true self is the theme of this book. And it's one of those things that we're all busy trying to do, trying to figure out who our true self is as opposed to our actor self or the fake self that is often on social media. So the author here goes on to talk to us about the importance of mastering your life, both consciously and subconsciously. There are two realms, there are two aspects, there are two elements. There's a yin and a yang, so to speak. There's a good and a bad. But according to this author here, there are two sides that we need to master, and it's our conscious side, the side that we can tap into readily, the side that we can talk to readily. But there's also a subconscious or an unconscious side that is operating in the background, operating 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for the entirety of our lives, and is, I guess, talking to us in silence, and talking to us in a way that I guess more so talks to our soul and our spirit than our minds. So we need to look in the right places for joy is a key message. You know, you can't go facing or you can't go running west to find a sunrise. It's just impossible to do. So what I'm doing this morning, and you're probably seeing the sky just crimsoning up and lighting up with the first light for the day, because it is winter, it is cold, but thankfully it's not windy, because the wind is the killer in terms of making the day uncomfortable. So we're going to slowly but surely see a magnificent sunrise. I won't be here long enough to see the sunrise above the Opera House because I need to head off to work, but you can just picture it in your mind's eye that in about an hour's time it's going to be absolutely spectacular here, but we'll just take what we can when we can. So the author here reminds us again that we need to look in the right place for joy, and we basically need to achieve contentment. We need to achieve contentment, because once you're content, then that's when you're not struggling. That's when you're not fighting against life. That's when you're accepting life and looking for the positives where others see negatives. The interesting thing that the author raises here is that most people, unfortunately, in their lives chase the adrenaline type of joy or happiness, which is both draining and exhausting. And can I also say that it's also expensive? When you're constantly chasing the adrenaline type of joy, then you've got money flying out of your pocket left, right and centre, and you've got nothing to show for it at the end of the day other than an experience, a fleeting experience, which is probably not worth it in the long run, because what it does is it, I guess, gets you trapped in a vortex of adrenaline junkiness, where you constantly need to up the ante, to do more and to pay more in order to get the same hit. And also, if you're running on adrenaline, if you're running on adrenaline-fueled joy, this adrenaline, as the author said, also drains us. It drains us because what it does is when adrenaline is shot into your blood veins and floods your body, what it does is it stimulates a hormone called it's just left my mind now. So it stimulates a stress hormone named cortisol. It came to me. And this cortisol, once released into your body, has an unusual and an immediate impact on your mind and the health of your body, because what happens is your mind just flicks back into primitive mode of fight, flight, or freeze. So you can't think logically, you can't think rationally for up to about 20 minutes or half an hour. But it also spikes your insulin levels in your body as well, which makes you hunger for sugars, makes you hunger for comfort foods, and forces and encourages your body to store fats as opposed to burn fats. So you tend to, work against your metabolism when you're living a junkie-filled adrenaline life, because you're always peaking and spiking your insulin, which is causing your body to store fat. So if you're not losing weight, this could be one of the reasons. You need to back off, you need to relax, you need to be content and not overwhelm your body continuously with adrenaline and cortisol and insulin. So we get to the point here where we start talking about the importance of peace of mind. And peace of mind is a cornerstone of Christianity, but it's also appears to be a cornerstone of yoga as well. So peace of mind comes from the effortless battle. Just like I mentioned before, we're going to stop fighting. We're going to stop comparing and contrasting and seeing victim, hero, or good and bad. You just need to accept. We all need to accept our lives for what it is, and to know that there is a purpose and a meaning for it. And the more you fight it, the less chance you have of identifying what that purpose and meaning really is. So the author here invites us, in terms of a call to action, is to not fight, not struggle. Go with the flow of life. Let God's will be done. That's my addition. Of course, it wouldn't be part of a yogi's addition, but from my perspective, let God's will be done. Because to achieve bliss, we need to eliminate all those things that cause you a headache, that cause you stress, that cause you pain. So we need to address these things, and you simply can't brush them under the carpet. You simply can't turn your back on them and ignore them. You've got to address them, but in a productive and a purposeful way. So restlessness is a disempowering and a draining state of living. Being continuously restless, being unfulfilled, being not satisfied, unsatisfied, or insatiable. All of these things are disempowering and draining. And the highest form that we need to try and achieve is to try and reach a thing called harmony, where you live with your environment, you embrace your environment, you embrace your life, because each person's life is unique. We have all had a different past. We have all lived a different past. We have all accumulated different slithers of reality. It's just the way life is. We are all going to live a different present. I am here, you are there. even if you were standing next to me on this morning, then you would be getting a different perspective. You'd be looking in a different direction and seeing different things and experiencing different things to what I am experiencing right now. And we're all going to have a different future. And it's these slithers of reality that we accumulate throughout our lives, either through our experiences or we inherit them from our culture, our parents, our friends, our brothers, our work peers, you name it, the media. We're constantly being redirected and distracted and disrupted by other people's slithers of information and slithers of reality, and called to accept them as reality. But it's up to each and every person to be discerning, to be diligent, and to make sure that you open up your mind to the things that serve you, to the things that add value to your life, and to the things that are going to help you become a beacon, to become an example, a fine example to others, and for others to understand that we all have our struggles, we all have our challenges, but our call to action, our mission from God, is to try and solve them as best we can, but to also accept them, to flow with them, and not to continually fight against them. I learned something new in terms of yogis always walk barefoot, and the reason for that is for them to always be in contact with the earth and to be able to absorb the energies that come from the earth directly into their bodies. The author then goes on to talk about a couple of other things, which I'll touch on now. He talks about how we need to be conscious of our surroundings, to be ever present, to be living the now, the eternal now, and to become a conscious eater. Now, this is a very profound point, because there are times where I become anything but a conscious eater. I'll just shovel food into my mouth, not knowing what I'm eating, why I'm eating it, but I know that it's not good for me and it's calorie laden and it's there just to create comfort. But the author here says that it's much more important for us to become conscious eaters and to know, and I didn't really know this, I guess I may have touched on it once or twice throughout my life, but that 55%, over half of one's digestion happens in the mouth. So for this reason, the author talks about the importance of being a conscious eater and to chew your food and to be relaxed while you're eating, to be sitting down and to enjoy your meal time, because over half of the digestion, over half of what you need to do happens in your mouth. And whenever we're hungry, and as I said before, whenever I feel like binge eating, the author says whenever you feel hungry, whenever you feel an urge to eat and overeat, he says that one of the tricks that he has learned and that he recommends is that we give our body time to settle down. Don't submit to our urges. And once again, that is a very powerful Christian message as well. And for that reason, Greek Orthodox Christians are called to fast, are called to not submit to the vices, to their passions, which aligns very similarly in some ways to what the yogi is talking about here. So the whole emphasis of this book and the whole emphasis of this message is to maintain control in our lives and to be human, to be above animals, because it's the animals who are animalistic, who are the ones who react to stimulus and stimuli. Whereas as humans, we have the ability to stop and think before we act, whereas an animal will react immediately without thinking, not considering or taking into consideration the first, second, and third level consequences. So the last points that come from this author, and I'll be finishing up shortly, is that joy is a birthright that is available for each and every one of us. It's a gift from God. You know, we come into the world to express and to receive God's gifts, is the Christian message, and to be appreciative, to show gratitude, to glorify God, and to do things that are God-pleasing. So I'm just moving into the Christian message now. And to connect, where possible, with ourselves, with God, as the author says here, to connect with the native part of us. But I'll finish off there. So I can hear the seagulls starting to muster and starting to fly through the air. So happy Friday, everybody. It's the Friday before the long weekend. I wish you all a great long weekend, and I look forward to coming to you again from another place with another message of empowerment, where we take OPE, other people's experiences, in the form of books and book summaries, and we try and incorporate them into our daily schedules, into our lives. We try and learn these life hacks and use them or pass them on, but use whatever we can to serve us. So the more we learn, the more we're capable of learning, because the art of learning is attaching the unknown to the known. But as we said, you need to be discerning to make sure that you're attaching the right unknowns to the right knowns, and not to be continually attaching the wrong unknowns to the wrong knowns, i.e. don't be a conspiracy theorist. Don't spread disinformation and misinformation. Be a beacon of truth, be a beacon of hope, and not be overly negative in your view of the world, and to know that each person's world is completely different to yours. Each person's reality is completely different to yours. So don't try and impose your reality or your slithers of reality on other people, because we all are unique and different. We're different from each other, for each other. Because if we were all the same, life would be very, very boring indeed. So look to complement, look to cooperate, look to work with others, and to surf the positives, the negatives, and to understand that life is beautiful, and it's up to you to make your life beautiful through your attitude and through embracing your life. Take care, everybody. Bye for now, and have a good Friday.